E te piringa ware e tūnei tēnā koe, te Aotearoa, me I mai, karanga mai, Ngāti Pōneke, whakatau mai rā. E tautoko ane ngā mei, ku tāna ki runga I rātau ko uri kitua. E tāpiri te ake ana, ko tētei o ngā ua o te kaupapa, I te wā, I takoto ai a Katarina, ki runga ia o ine waiapu, ko tētei o ngā tamā ine a te Kōhanga Reo, a te kurikaupapa Māori, I takoto I roto o te aroa, a ko Okeroa Douglas tērā. He tino taonga I riro. Wai muri mai a ko wetu tere kātani tērā. No te ata nei, ko tētei o mātou paukuia o te awa o Wanganui I riro atu, ko Edna McGregor, Edna Timothy, e takoto ana I runga I a ruaka I rānana. Rātou katoa e tangi I ana I tēnei wā, moe mai, are atu. E o tia no rā, ka mei ake ki te kaupapa nāna nei tātou I waka ui tēnei ai ai. Families Commission, thank you for the invitation. The after lunch slot. Notes, don't waffle, keep to time. Dance, say jokes, show pictures. See which one I chose. To look to the future, we need to know our past. Such is the Māori view of time. The past informing the future can be regarded as a multicultural concept. For me, as a father and now a grandfather, I can confirm my past is my future. The past I yearn for will catapult Māori to a limitless fulfilment of potential beyond our wildest dreams. Is this scenario the past or the future? Born to ancient genealogical chants into the hands of her wānau, the child is wrapped in aroha. Te reo is already part of her, as it is the dominant language of her community, absorbed in her soul during her time in the womb. Her parents and extended wānau are intimately connected, sharing their close communal living space, as well as maintaining their wānau, apu, iwi, and community connections, no matter the distance. Obligation and commitment to maintaining the bonds of whakapapa motivate this connectedness. Her basic living needs are lifetime guaranteed. Shelter, food, water, and access to resources for clothing and technology are provided as a birthright from her people's whenua, land. Beyond the close confines of the wānau are other cultures, other iwi, with which she will interact. That may occur amongst her Māori language community or beyond it. No matter how she engages with them, she will experience no disadvantage. Her contribution to the wānau, hapu and iwi and community will be shaped in the knowledge that her ancestors have imbued her with talents that with the right nurturing will emerge. She will enjoy the fruits of her economic labours, which will be shared to benefit her wānau, apu and iwi. Her future as a parent, contributor to the affairs of her people, and eventual role as an elder will unfold naturally, without chaos. The community unites against uninvited interruptions caused by the infringement of others. On her death, she will depart peacefully, with the knowledge that all she enjoyed will be enjoyed by her descendants. My ancestress, Taiwiri, is the mother of my tribe Ngāti Rangi. She lived 17 generations ago. I'm pretty sure, as harsh a life it may have been for her, physically located beneath snowy Ruapehu, she experienced the idyllic life cycle I described. I was born 50 years ago. I received very little of my ancestresses' legacy. We heard today the story of colonisation, land loss, assimilation, urbanisation, etc. The last members of Ngāti Rangi to have been raised with the same security and surety as Taiwiri were alive at the Battle of Motor in 1864. Despite being victorious, the events in the years that followed up the Whanganui River and the Waimarino saw that life for Māori would no longer be the same. I have a Māori father and Pākehā mother whose relationship was rejected by both their families. Dad declined the marriage his grandmother had arranged, choosing a Pākehā over a tribal cousin whose lineage and land connections equalled or bettered his was sacrilegious to his whānau. A Māori was not the choice for my mother's family, even though Pākehā in the 50s were able to choose their life partners, as long as their parents approved. She had to leave home. With nowhere to go, Dad took his fiancée home to Karioi, where his grandmother gave them a house on whānau land. A post office marriage celebrated on our whānau marae led to the birth of my eldest brother. That event reconnected my mother to her parents. I have recently learnt the power a mokopuna has, no matter the culture. Dad stopped speaking Māori on arrival at primary school in Ohakune when he was strapped for asking his cousin where the toilet was. Work pressure took Dad and Mum back to Palmerston North, away from a Māori-dominant rural community to urban Pākehādom to live with her parents. I was born there just before my parents sought work in rural Wairarapa, where I think, Kim Workman, you met Dad at the Savage Club. We moved around heaps, from there to Manawatu, Hawke's Bay, and then back to Manawatu. Life for us included a wide range of people. Whānau and family were the most dominant. Dad ensured we connected with his parents, brothers and sisters. The regular journey to Karioi meant we knew our Māori grandparents and our great-grandfather, who spoke only Māori to our grandparents, and a mixed pidgin with Dad and his siblings, and nothing to us. Mum's family were equally prominent in our life. Life for me in the 60s was all about juggling between brothers, cousins, friends and school. Nothing about being Māori was ever overtly positive. Not until 1972. The regional primary school speech competition came up, a mainstream English speaking competition, that is. I chose the topic, why the Māori language should be taught in school. There had been something in the paper about some university Māori students calling for a petition to go to Parliament. They wanted the Māori language to be taught in school, so I shared what I thought would be good for their petition to be approved. Winning the competition was secondary to the wonderment the research had exposed me to. I had never thought anything about why Nanny would speak Māori to her 90-year-old father, or why Dad spoke only English to us. Neira, Aue Te Whakamua, by the time I had finished school, I knew how to speak English and French. I did not know how to speak Māori. The Land March, Raglan Golf Course and Bastion Point had caused huge debate between my parents, their friends, our whānau and family. There was division galore amongst all of them, except all the Māori in my network supported the protesters, and only some of the Pākehā did. Being Māori was not positive, and we were told, forget about the past, get on with the future. I look back at the 1972 petition to Parliament and am thankful for its influence on an 11-year-old schoolboy and a group of primary school speech judges. It changed my life. I am in awe of how it changed our nation's life when Wetu Tirikatini Sullivan accepted it. It carved the path of 40 years of Māori language revitalisation and reshaped our nation. For me and my whānau, it has brought us closer to the past that Taiwiri lived. I firmly believe Te Reo Māori is the path to our future, and that together, we as New Zealanders can build our future together. When Māori are once again Māori, as they choose to be, our future potential as a nation will be realised. 26 years ago, my first child, a daughter, Henurewa Potu, whose photo you have on your tables, was born. Only a few years earlier, I had learned about Taiwiri and what life for the ancients was like. I remember being blown away, learning how Māori fed the early Pākehā settlers and how Māori embraced technological advancement. Tarauparaha's fleet of ships and Ngāpuhi's trade of timber and horticultural products were unprecedented in Indigenous peoples' adaptation to European methods. Māori warfare tactics against each other and against Pākehā were heroic. The adoption of bilingualism as a way forward to their new future, drawing on the past of their ancestors, was monumental. The planned destruction of Māori success and advancement by the colonists was enraging. The tenacity of Māori to battle against the tide of colonisation was inspiring. So many milestones, so many events, all erased from the national consciousness so that my generation grew up culturally and spiritually ignorant. What then for this child born at the dawn of the Māori Renaissance? Yay for the Māori Renaissance. Having learned te reo at Victoria University, initially from a Pākehā woman, and then by my tribal uncle who lectured there, supported by many visits to my grandmother and attendance at any reo hui I could get to, I was lucky to meet my life partner, Penny Potu, who is here today. In 1984, we had been together for 2 years. We attended a student conference in the Philippines, visiting many different communities, most extremely impoverished from a Western economic viewpoint. On our journey back to New Zealand, we reflected on the richness we observed amongst the families we met. Having previously agreed to be a childless couple, we shocked each other when we simultaneously said, if they can raise children over there in those conditions, why can't we have a child here? Within a month, we were pregnant. In the months that followed, we made several decisions without discussion. After sorting out where we would live, Palmerston North, Wahine Māori, you know, being from Wellington, the next was the language we would speak to our baby. Without any debate, we both said Māori. It was obvious to us that having learned te reo as adults, te reo would not survive if we didn't use it daily and if we didn't pass it on to our next generation. We both knew a sprinkling of native speakers of our own generation where at least one of their parents spoke only Māori to them, and it was the obvious way for us to go if we were to bring the language alive between us and our next generations. Penny's dad, who is now 84, is a native speaker, and she regrets he had not made the decision to raise her and her siblings as native speakers. When we made our decision, we had not done research on language acquisition or threatened languages. It was obvious that if we believed in te reo and tikanga Māori, we should live by these as our creed. Penny was active in the Palmerston North Māori community and had organised Māori language events there for several years. She knew about Kōhanga Reo, and I had heard of it. However, we were both too enwrapped in our baby to think about sharing her with others. I accepted the invitation to work at the Māori Studies Department at the Palmerston North Teachers College as a language tutor on the condition that I could take our baby with me. There, the kaumātua of the department observed my engagement with my daughter in te reo and over time encouraged Penny and me to enrol her at Kōhanga. We were reluctant because we were unsure if we could make the commitment to be actively supportive in the running of the Kōhanga. Hinu Rewa started at Kōhanga on the day of her first birthday, 25 years ago. That marked the second hugest change in our life, our daughter being our first. The elders that gathered at Waikwetu Marae in 1981 that laid the foundation of this new pathway built a future for Māori that took the past and linked it to the future. We heard Api this morning describe the kaupapa. Wāno, reo, development. Magic. Overnight, Māori society was transformed. At Te Awina Kōhanga Reo, in Palmerston North, e pani tēnā koe, Penny, Hinu Rewa and I were hooked. We loved being connected with our parents, other parents, and being loved by the elders, none of whom had a whakapapa connection to us. We loved our baby being with other tamariki Māori, being raised in a strong environment of aroha, manaaki and wairua. Kōhanga was wonderful. Our lives changed. We became part of a new wānau. This meant the kaupapa was the key, not whakapapa. Our whakapapa wānau watched from afar and became nervous and worried that we were ditching them. Remaining connected to all our wānau became a priority, so we changed our lives to ensure all our wānau connections were maintained. Kōhanga led Penny and I on the journey to kura kaupapa Māori. When our daughter was 2, we began to worry about what would happen when she turned 5. Her reo was beginning to outstrip our own, and we worried about keeping up with her and being able to sustain our Māori language-only relationship. Some of the most tense times of our relationship were caused by the frustrations of being second language learners unable to fully communicate everything we would be able to say in our first language, English. We approached the other kōhanga in Manawatu to discuss what should happen when our children turn 5. We formed a group called Rapua Te Kura Tika. I coordinated the group, which consulted the community and carried out research on options. I was invited to participate on the Kura Kaupapa Māori working group, chaired by Katarina Mataira. I was a seedling amongst tōtara. The Kura Kaupapa Māori, or Manawatu, was established by Rapua Te Kura Tika as one of the first 6 Kura Kaupapa Māori funded by the state based on Te Aho Matua. Again, whānau of Kura Kaupapa Māori build pathways together to the future. Within Manawatu, we could see 5 kōhanga would not be enough to feed the kura, so we established a new one. The whānau of the Kōhanga Reo o Mana Tamariki was born. Our second child, our son Pei, was one of the first enrollees. Our focus was to keep the tamariki within te reo and tikanga Māori as they travelled on the education pathway. 5 years later, there were 10 kōhanga. Our first kura had rapidly filled and a second kura was warranted. Having carried out research and learned the link between language acquisition and language revitalisation, we adopted a new approach in Mana Tamariki. Our first kura, Manawatu, was open to all Kōhanga Reo graduates. We decided that Te Kura Kaupapa Māori o Mana Tamariki would target families who would commit to speak te reo in the home and community. The enrolment criteria requires at least one parent to speak only Māori to the children enrolled in Mana Tamariki at all times, including their own. Intergenerational transmission at kōhanga and kura was being practiced in Manawatu in now 10 kōhanga, 1 kura kaupapa Māori, 1 total immersion Māori language unit in a mainstream school, and 2 bilingual units. At that time, only 3 families were practising intergenerational transmission of te reo within the family. Research told us that we needed to build the numbers where te reo is the dominant language of the family. We started with 7 families in our kura, and over time, all new enrollees in our kōhanga were required to fit the criteria. We opened our Warekura secondary department 3 years later. We have grown the number of Māori language speaking families to 60. All children graduate with the minimum qualification of UE, and all have access to NCEA Level 3, and they are awarded a gift from the whānau of a symbol of mātauranga Māori, a carved limestone rock, and a symbol of modern technology, a laptop. Currently, we have 30 children in kōhanga and 50 in kura, and in total, when including the numbers of parents who are registered with us as Māori language speakers and siblings who have been with us and graduated, we have a community of at least 150 people that speak only Māori to each other when we are present together with our tamariki at mana tamariki. All our whānau business is conducted in te reo Māori. Such is the normality of te reo amongst our community, they have influenced their whānau and wider networks. Several hundred others speak te reo with them. In creating this community, we acknowledge the elders who envisaged Te Kōhanga Reo. The National Te Kōhanga Reo Trust, which I was humbled to be invited to join in 2006, Te Rūnanga Nui o ngā Kura Kaupapa Māori, Te Kura o Hoani Waititi Marae, and Te Kura o Ruamata. All have played a part in supporting us to develop where we are today. They are the true builders of the pathways that in mana tamariki, the future of the children and their whānau are much brighter than mine was at their age. They created a genuine option where Māori can coexist with other Kiwis whose identity, spirituality, language and culture is not threatened. Or so it would seem. Recently, a compatriot from another kura community shared her pain of her kura-educated daughter succumbing to P. No matter how strong a reo background we give our whānau, evil must be averted. The whānau response was to rescue their moko from the addicted mother. Get off the P and you can have your baby back. Whānau savvy works. I thank our kai karakia Kerry for his blessings and prayers this morning. If there is anything the Families Commission or this hui can do to support our request for urgency to be heard by the tribunal, I encourage you to do so. E api, we need to work together. Whānau, apu, iwi. Don't leave it to hit and miss policies of the time. In no way should you feel you have to throw stones at the karere. Ngāti Pro TV, make it happen. Maestro, this is what I chose, so you didn't go to sleep. 2 months ago, my first grandchild, Kalai a Kawainui, James Rangipehi Roa Waho, was born to my son, who is currently living in Hawaii. Naida, I am proudly mental about the secret elixir no one told me about. All you grandparents have been hoarding the secret. What a dumbass I've been. Will he enjoy the security and surety of his ancestress Taiwiri of 20 generations ago? Wrapped in aroha? Yes. Te reo and leo? Yes. Kalai's pathways to the future are exciting. His mother is native Hawaiian and Haole in ancestry. My son speaks only Māori to him, and his mum speaks only Hawaiian. The rest of the ohana speaks English or a mix of Hawaiian and English. There is also probably a bit of pidgin. His future is multilingual, multicultural, and global. Returning to this framework of analysis, which I leapt to, I'll repeat. Will he enjoy the security and surety of his ancestress Taiwiri of 20 generations ago? Wrapped in aroha and aloha, yes. Te reo and leo, yes. Intimately connected to wānau, hapu, iwi, no matter the distance. With Skype? Of course. Maintaining the obligations of whakapapa? Yes. Basic living needs, lifetime guaranteed through whenua. Now there's the challenge, New Zealand. Vote the Māori Party and absolutely. And if there are any Ātiho Wanganui shareholders here, vote me back onto the incorporation at the AGM at the end of the year, please. Engage with other cultures, mai moko, no sweat. Experience no disadvantage, don't even suggest it. Shaped with ancestral talents, you bet. Enjoy and share the fruits of his talents, he better. Contribute to and defend the wānau, hapu and iwi, yes. On my death, thanks to the many Māori builders that built for me and my descendants and thousands of other Māori the pathways to the future that I have tread, I will depart peacefully with the knowledge that all I have enjoyed will be enjoyed by my descendants. Building pathways for the future through te reo, the only way to go.